Hey everybody, it's Andy Smith, your 34-year veteran of the comic book industry, bringing you another book look for the week. You know what book looks are. I grab a book off my shelf, go through it page by page. You get to see the entire book if you want it. There's, of course, a link in the description below so you can go buy it. All right, guys, let's do this. I got to admit, I can't believe I haven't done this book yet. Superheroes, Joe Kubert's Wonderful World of Comics. This literally came out the same year my book did, Drawing Dynamic Comics. I had no idea Joe was doing this. It wasn't until this came out, I saw it, and I was like, oh my God, Joe Kubert wrote a book on how to draw comics. Fantastic. I'm actually lucky enough to own a hardcover version of this book, too, that is signed by Joe that I got as a gift. I love this book, and once again, I'm such a Joe Kubert fan, I can't believe it's taken me this long doing all these book looks to do it. Sometimes I forget, and I have to search through my book look playlist to see if I've done the book or not, and I was for sure I did this one, and I was for sure wrong. So let's go through it here. Love this drawing. Joe Kubert loves mixed media. This looks like Dr. Martin Dies. Got some colored pencil in there. Some opaque whiteout you can see for highlights and stuff. So, and I know it's not watercolor. I know Joe used to like working with dyes, and the vibrancy of the color is why I also believe it's dyes. Anyhow, this book, let me just make sure I'm right. 1999. Oh, I take it back. It came out a year before mine. So maybe I saw it at the bookstore. I don't know. But there you go. So let's go through it. He's got a foreword, of course. God, I love this book. Even if you're not wanting to draw comic books for a living, if you're a fan of Joe Kubert, get this book. One, just to see his pencil technique, because this is how his pencils look when you want to ink Joe's work. Love seeing the turnarounds. Now, this is where this book, I like it, but even though it came out in 99, so 22 years after How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, this book feels like it should have came out in the 70s or 80s, and it's not a knock. It's just because Joe Kubert wrote it. Joe and John Buscema are the same age, or they were born the same year, so Joe's coming from his sensibilities of growing up. That's all. It's still a great book, but I mean, a prehistoric superhero, yeah, it's Tor, and he probably even says Tor somewhere in there. Maybe not. Yep, it's Tor. But once again, this book is just great to see Joe's fantastic drawing ability. A superhero with Coptic cool. So here he's just talking about, look, it's kind of like character design. If you're going to create characters based on certain errors and stuff, you want to do your research to get it right when you create the character. Medieval man. I mean, gotta love the names, but more often, just once again, just look at the drawing. I love that. American history. So it's, reading all this is good because, like I said, he goes into his thought process when it comes to design. Worn superheroes. I'm sure he mentions Sergeant Rock. Yes, he sure does. Oh, beautiful. This is kind of like hairstyles and stuff. Future worlds. I mean, come on. That is Flash Gordon, basically. Superheroes in 3 dimensions. Here, he finally, he gets into drawing, actual how to draw. So don't sleep on this chapter, because Joe Kubert is a master at drawing. This is great. Could have been expanded a little bit more, showing steps and whatnot. I think this is one of the things, I don't know if this book goes into, I haven't looked at it in so long, shows individual steps. I do like this, simplifying it though. That's cool. The male superhero, so blocking it out, going into proportions and such. This is nice for basic, simple planes of the figure for lighting and such. Think round. Everything has 3 dimensions. I always stress that. That's great. This is fun, exaggerating the figure. I mean, I get it, but it could be even bigger. I mean, it's I go, oh, that's cute. Still, you see the principles. I like the way they did it with the color line differences and stuff. Just a little bit about muscles under stress. I mean, I think it's cool. Once again, I just love this for just seeing Joe Kubert's artwork. Nice short little section on feet and hands. The female figure, nice, showing the planes here, once again for lighting and such. It's cool seeing how he just breaks down a figure as well. That's very neat, showing some of the anatomy and such. And then talking about female hands and feet, simpler, smoother lines. This is cool, seeing boots and gloves. Just seeing how he renders them and stuff. He goes into hair. Emotion and motion. So basically, figures in motion. Love this. Body language through the simplest forms. I mean, these are so simple, but you can get the body language. You can really see where Adam and Andy's stuff, I mean, it's just so highly influenced. Of course, just like John Romita Jr. With his dad. I love seeing these simple faces he does. This is something that, you know, you could see it in Joe's roughs and thumbnails, basically like an overall shape, and he fits the figure like into it and stuff. I started kind of doing that in a way, and it works, because if you do this on a piece of paper and you know your whole figure has to fit into it, instead of just drawing on a blank piece of paper where you go, oh, I just ran out of room, that'll definitely help you from running out of room and such. Figures fighting, this is great. Just talking about, this is nice seeing the progression of the art. Creating characters, so here he goes into creating characters again, even though in the beginning he kind of did that. This is talking about different styles and such. Look, it's a big, tall Usagi Yojimbo. Aging the characters properly. God, I haven't looked at this book in a long time. Literally, I was just going through my shelf. Like I tell you guys I do. I'm not making it up when I say I do that. Looking for my next book look. And it just so happens I was like, oh, I haven't looked at that book in forever. So that was the one. Like I say, I pulled off my shelf for this week's book look. So I'm not kidding when I say I just pulled this book off my shelf. I believe he was using a brush pen at the time for the way he was getting this look. on the side of the faces, the dark rendering. You could see how a brush pen he was using was a felt tip type, so it would go kind of dry brush. That's so cool. So Doctor Strange. That guy's cool. Love this. And once again, even like, check this out. This is like Steve Rogers in the block of ice. And it's cool to be able to go, oh, that's how you'd render it. Because the one thing about Joe's work is he draws for black and white, and color's just an enhancement. So it's like, oh, how should I draw rain or snow or whatever? You know, I think he even gets into it in this book in the inking part, and to really see the texturing and how he does it. Yeah, I love these robots. This is what I was saying. These are definitely 1950s style looking robots. So, but hey, that's the reference Joe's pulling from his lived experience when he wrote the book. That is just cool. And once again, this book is 26 years old now, which is hard to believe. This is great. This is literally Joe's full pencils for rendering fur. I love it. Just love it. There's so much you can do with that inking wise. Here he talks about backgrounds. Basically here it's like, doesn't matter how well you draw figures, if your backgrounds suck, it doesn't work. And here we go, seeing, he would take a sketchbook everywhere and draw, and he suggests that. But once again, looking at this going, oh, that's a cool way to draw this or that, you know, rendering wise with texture and such. And water. Cool underwater. And then just going into textures on different types of materials and such. I love that. Like, that could be a great Captain America figure. These look like he traced them off, which, you know what? That's fine. It doesn't matter. Use tracing paper. Joe knows how to draw this stuff. Learn it first. I love this. Yeah, that's bad. That's good. This guy, I think, is freaking awesome. I would love to have seen a story with this guy. Once again, I love the rendering on the black metal armor he's wearing. Here he's talking about cityscapes, interiors, and such. I remember this from having him as a teacher, laying out a room. He would say, do a down shot of the room with everything. You know, it's a down shot, just flat, architectural rendering type shapes. So then you draw it and you know where everything is. And then there's a thing I learned, which would be kind of hard to explain without showing. But basically, if you do this, now that you have a digital camera, if you take this piece of paper, right, and then it's a down shot and it's flat, but if you scan it and put it into like Photoshop and warp it and put it in perspective and take a photo of it, the shapes are still flat, but then if you project everything up from the shapes, you'll get all the distancing proper as well. I kind of hope that made sense. Here he goes into storytelling. One of the best things. I mean, Joe's just one of the masters of storytelling. Talks about scripts and sketches and stuff that he would make. Reference folders. Just how angled your board should be. Talks about the original art size compared to basic print size. Thumbnails. And these are about the size of my thumbnails. So I got kind of this from going to the Kubert school, and mine are kind of rough like that too. Hatching techniques, initial layout, tighter pencils, full pencils, which he shows more of, like right here. Love this. So this is like the initial breakdown of the page. And then he tightens up to just a nice line drawing. So there's no lighting here. And he uses a dead weight pencil to do that. And then he goes in and shades it. And this is like Joe's full pencils right here. And this is inkable. This, I would love to see some of these. I would love to see old school inkers like myself, I guess. And then some of these new inkers to see if they could even ink something like this because it's penciled so loose. Talks about lettering. Now this goes back when hand lettering was still being done a lot. So I don't believe there's anything about computer lettering. Nope. His inking style, which is kind of the same as his penciling, where he outlines things with a pen first and does some pen rendering. And then when it comes to the heavy black areas, he gets out the brush and just lays those in. This is cool. I went out and bought this issue of Ragman after this because this shows his layouts. He didn't draw Ragman. He just was the editor, I believe, and did layouts for it. And these layouts were sent to another artist. And it was just great to see the comparison of what he did. And it's cool to be able to read the script too. So go get that issue of Ragman. And you're like, what issue was it? Go back and pause it. Now I'll look. Supplies, of course, he pimps the Joe Kubert School of Art Supply Store. Nothing wrong with that. I would have done the same thing. But he talks about the different pens and stuff and whatnot he was using. All right, let's see. What issue of Ragman was this? Number 2. Go get yourself Ragman number 2, guys. And that's it. This is a fantastic book. I can't recommend it enough. This, Drawing Dynamic Comics, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. What else do you need? Nothing. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share. And, of course, if you do anything, in the description below is a link for Lilineth, Infernal Conflict, the next graphic novel coming from Astonishing Comics and the world of Kor-Drath. Sign up so you know when the campaign goes live. Thanks, everybody. I'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.